Hello, welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome to my YouTube channel. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified each time that I produce content concerning hiking, backpacking, all things outdoors. Today's video is the third in a three-part series that I began on how to hike efficiently. If you've not watched the first two videos before this one on how to hike efficiently and how to hike uphill efficiently, then be sure and stop the video now and watch those two videos first. And I'll put the link up here or up here, wherever it is. It's either one of these. And so check those two videos out first before you watch this. Now, when it comes to putting one foot in front of the other or hiking from point A to point B, there's some general principles that can be applicable to just general hiking, basically on a flat surface and not a lot of ups and downs. But in order to hike uphill more efficiently and hike downhill more efficiently, there's some challenges that are involved and there's some principles that are involved in those particular types of hiking. And so today I want to cover some things about how to efficiently hike downhill. Number one, practice hiking downhill. Now, if you've listened to my other videos on hiking uphill, you can use the same hill, just go in the opposite direction. And so practice hiking downhill because, again, you use different muscles. There's different principles to hiking downhill. And the more practice you get before you go out on a backpacking trip, the better you'll be and the more in-conditioned you'll be. I don't know if that's a word or not. In-conditioned? The more conditioned you'll be. Number two, use a shorter stride when you go downhill. Now, I said the same thing about going uphill, but again, the same principle applies to going downhill than going uphill. Use a shorter stride. Don't lengthen your stride because you may get hurt. You may slip and fall down if you have a longer stride going downhill. So use a shorter stride as you go downhill. Obviously, it's going to take a longer time for you to get downhill. And a lot of people think that going downhill is quicker than going uphill, but that's not the case. You've got to be careful going downhill. In fact, to be honest with you, you need to be more careful going downhill than going uphill. Number three, walk flat-footed going downhill. Make sure that your entire foot, not just your toe, not just your heel, but make sure that your whole foot, your whole shoe is in contact with the trail. Now, the basic principle here is gravity. When you're going downhill, gravity is pulling you down the hill, whereas if you're going uphill, you're fighting gravity and you're going against it. And so, and again, if you fall going uphill, it's not as far as if you fall and trip while you're going downhill. Now, sometimes if it is a very, very steep grade going downhill, you may even have to turn sideways and then walk sideways down the hill so that you'll have more of a grip going downhill. Again, avoid having a small surface of your foot on the trail going downhill, because if you hit rock or scree or any kind of loose sediment or whatever, you're going to slip and fall down the hill. And again, that may mess up your hike somewhat. Number four, don't lean back going downhill. Again, as you make contact with the trail with your foot, If you lean back, then that's going to make less contact with the trail. And again, if there's scree or if it's loose sediment, loose soil or whatever, you're going to slide down the hill. You're naturally going to go into the trail. If it's going uphill and you're walking here, you're not going to stand at a 45-degree angle. You're going to lean somewhat into the trail and have an acute angle. Is that right? But if you're going downhill, then again, you're not going to be able to stand up at a 45-degree angle to the trail. You're going to have to lean back somewhat, but be careful about leaning too far back because you'll slip and slide down the trail. I've done that before, trust me. Number 5, glance at the bottom of the hill. Again, I said glance at the bottom of the hill, but focus on your feet. Now, obviously, you need to watch where you're going, and you need to be careful. If you step on a rock, make sure that that rock is sturdy and stable and not wobbly. Number 6, and this is very important, but use the sit-step method. Now, when I did the video on hiking efficiently uphill, I said use the rest step method. Now, again, it's totally different from going uphill. Now, the main difference between going uphill and downhill is going uphill is harder on your muscles. Going downhill is harder on your joints. So as you go uphill, you need to give your legs a rest by using your joints rather than your muscles. Again, you're going to use your muscles, but you're going to use your joints also as you straighten your leg with each step as going up. But when you go downhill, you need to make sure that you never straighten your leg. I know so many people that have problems with their joints and their legs, and mainly it's from going downhill. It's very brutal going downhill on your joints. And so what you need to do is to give your joints a rest like you did giving your muscles a rest when you went uphill. Thing that you need to get in your mind is pretend like you're sitting down as you're going down the trail, okay? As you go downhill, put one foot in front of the other, but never straighten your leg as you go down. It's like a shock absorber as you're going downhill. Again, you're trying to be kind to your joints because you only get one set of them. No, I'm sorry. People get joint replacements. And so, but you want to take care of the joints that you have. And so be careful going downhill and make sure that you use the sit step method, and don't straighten your legs out, but just pretend like you're sitting down as you're going down the hill. And then number 7, use your trekking poles as extra legs. Now, I said in the video on going uphill that you need to pretend like your trekking poles are like a handrail going upstairs. But here, just the opposite, when you're going downhill, put your trekking poles in front of you. In fact, you may even want to grab the top of your trekking poles and pretend like you've got legs, 2 extra legs that are leading you as you go downhill. The biggest difference between going uphill and going downhill is the role that gravity plays on your hiking. Gravity is pulling you back as you're going uphill. Gravity is pulling you forward as you're going downhill. And so so as using your trekking poles as legs, all right, extra legs in front of you, what you're doing is you're resisting gravity pulling you forward, tumbling down the hill. And so be sure and use those trekking poles. Going uphill, you're pushing yourself. Going downhill, you're resisting gravity, trying to pull you down the hill. Now, those are just a few things, a few tips that I've gleaned from the many years of hiking and backpacking, and I hope that it's helped you to enjoy hiking a little bit more. Now, make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure and leave that in the comment section below. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the things that I've learned over the many years of backpacking and hiking, then please be sure and check out the videos that are down here at the bottom. And so until then, as always,